The moment you clicked on this video was not ordinary, and before you even think about leaving, give me just a few minutes, because what you are about to hear deserves your full attention. In a world filled with endless distractions and countless voices competing for your focus, some messages simply pass by while others have a way of stopping you in your tracks. And this is one of those moments. Out of millions of people scrolling through videos at this very second, you somehow ended up here. And whether you believe that happened by chance or not, something inside you decided to stay. Sometimes the smallest decision changes the direction of an entire life, and perhaps this is one of those moments that will only make sense when you look back later. Imagine for a moment that events have been quietly unfolding beyond what your eyes can see. Picture a story that began several days ago, long before this video appeared on your screen, where a message carrying your name was already waiting for the exact moment you would finally hear it. Think about how many videos you ignored today and how many times your finger almost kept scrolling. Yet for some reason you stopped here, and whether you can explain that feeling or not, something deeper inside you refused to move on because it sensed that this conversation might matter. Maybe over the past few days your mind has been unusually restless, or perhaps you have felt as though something important was approaching, even though you could not explain why. Sometimes life gives us quiet signals before major changes arrive, leaving us with a feeling that something is different without revealing exactly what it is. Perhaps you have been waking during the early hours of the morning for no clear reason. Maybe certain number patterns have caught your attention again and again, or a dream stayed with you even after you opened your eyes, leaving behind an emotion that refused to disappear, even though the details faded away. Many people call moments like these coincidence, while others see them as simple tricks of the mind. But when enough unusual events begin connecting together, it becomes difficult to ignore the possibility that something greater than chance may be unfolding behind the scenes. If you have felt an unusual heaviness in your heart while listening to these words, or if something inside you feels strangely awake right now, do not dismiss that feeling too quickly. Sometimes our deepest convictions speak quietly before our minds are able to understand what they are trying to say. A few days ago, you reached a place where your strength felt almost completely gone. It was a moment that perhaps nobody else knew about, a private struggle hidden behind your smile, where you questioned everything and wondered whether anyone truly understood the weight you had been carrying. You may even remember whispering a prayer that felt more like desperation than confidence. Maybe your words sounded something like, "God, if you are really there, if you truly see me, then please give me some sign, because I cannot keep carrying this uncertainty forever." Those words were not spoken into empty silence. Even though the room around you felt lonely, and it seemed as if no one noticed your tears, your pain was not invisible, and every honest word you spoke carried more value than you realized at the time. What felt like silence was not necessarily absence. Sometimes answers begin moving long before we are able to recognize them, and while we believe nothing is happening, events beyond our understanding may already be taking shape in preparation for what comes next. That is why you are here now instead of somewhere else. Out of countless videos available online today, your attention settled on this one, and despite every reason to leave, something continues encouraging you to keep listening, because your heart senses that this message deserves another minute. There is something important you need to understand before moving forward. The difficult seasons you have faced may not mean you are weak, forgotten, or somehow less worthy than everyone around you. Even though those thoughts have probably visited your mind more times than you would like to admit, many people blame themselves whenever life becomes difficult. They assume that if they had stronger faith, some made better choices, or somehow became a better person, everything would suddenly become easier. But life is often far more complicated than those simple conclusions. Truth is that long seasons of struggle can slowly reshape the way a person thinks. After enough disappointments, it becomes easy to believe that hardship is simply who you are, instead of recognizing it as only one chapter of a much larger story. For months, perhaps even years, it has felt as though every time one problem ended, another immediately appeared. Just when hope started growing again, another disappointment arrived, making it seem almost impossible to believe that anything good could finally remain. Over time, those repeated setbacks taught you to expect disappointment before success. They convinced you to lower your expectations, protect your heart, and prepare for failure before giving yourself permission to believe that something better could actually happen. But surviving everything you have already survived says something remarkable about you. Every setback that failed to destroy you, every betrayal you somehow endured, and every painful season you managed to outlast proves that there is far more strength inside you than you have been willing to acknowledge. The fact that you are still standing after everything life has thrown at you is evidence that your story is not finished yet. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs begin quietly, with nothing more than one decision to keep moving forward when every part of you wanted to quit. There's another truth you need to hear, because it changes the way you look at everything that has happened up until this point. The hardships you have endured were never meant to convince you that your life had no value. Instead, they reveal that your journey carries more purpose than you have allowed yourself to believe. Long before you ever understood who you were becoming, your future was already taking shape. Before anyone knew your name, before your family could imagine the person you would become, your life held possibilities that stretched far beyond the ordinary path you expected for yourself. That is why every setback seemed determined to drain your confidence. Every disappointment whispered that you were average. Every failure tried to convince you that your dreams were unrealistic. And every painful experience attempted to make you settle for far less than what you were capable of achieving. Think about the betrayals that left lasting scars on your heart. Those moments did more than cause temporary pain, because they slowly taught you to question people, to hide your true feelings, and to build walls where trust once existed. Then came the failures that seemed impossible to explain. Doors you believed would surely open suddenly closed. Opportunities disappeared without warning. And plans you invested your energy into collapsed just when success felt close enough to touch. Yet, despite everything, you never completely stopped moving forward. Even when hope became difficult to find, there remained a small part of you that refused to give up, and that quiet determination has carried you much farther than you realize today. Sometimes the greatest strength is not found in dramatic victories, but in choosing to continue one more day when everything around you says it is pointless. That decision may seem small in the moment, yet over time it becomes the foundation upon which an entirely new future is built. Perhaps a few days ago you made one simple choice that felt insignificant at the time. Maybe you offered one honest prayer, forgave someone who never apologized, chose kindness instead of bitterness, or simply decided that you would not surrender to despair for one more day. What appeared to be a small decision may have marked the beginning of something much larger. Real transformation often starts quietly, without applause or recognition, growing beneath the surface until its results become impossible to ignore. Imagine your perseverance being measured not only by your visible success, but also by every unseen moment when you remained faithful despite discouragement. Every time you chose integrity instead of compromise, patience instead of anger, or generosity during your own struggles, those moments shaped the person you are becoming. Even when nobody else noticed your quiet victories, they still mattered. The strength you built during lonely seasons became part of your character, preparing you for opportunities that require far more than talent alone. There are seasons in life when nothing seems to change no matter how hard you try. You continue working, believing, hoping, and waiting, yet the results remain invisible, causing you to question whether your efforts have any purpose at all. But waiting is not always wasted time. Sometimes the longest delays become the very periods that prepare us to handle the blessings we have been asking for, without destroying the wisdom we gained along the way. Now imagine that the season of constant resistance is finally beginning to shift. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect overnight, but because everything you have learned through difficulty starts working together to create opportunities that once seemed impossible. The obstacles that stood in your way for so long begin losing their power. Situations that once felt permanent slowly give way to new possibilities. And doors that remained firmly shut begin opening in ways you never expected. This is also the moment when you must remember who you really are. To me, you are not simply someone trying to survive each day until things improve. You are someone whose experiences have equipped you with understanding, resilience, and compassion that cannot be learned through comfort alone. Your voice carries value because it has been shaped by real experiences. Your perspective matters because it was formed through challenges that forced you to grow beyond the limits you once accepted for yourself. Everything you endured has been preparing you for responsibilities greater than you imagined. Every difficult conversation strengthened your wisdom. Every disappointment increased your patience, and every obstacle taught you lessons that success alone could never provide. One day people will see your confidence and assume it appeared overnight. They will admire your stability without realizing how many sleepless nights, unanswered questions, and painful decisions were required before you reached that point. The next chapter of your life may look completely different from the one you are living today. A year from now, you could find yourself reflecting on this season, realizing that the greatest changes began long before anyone else noticed them. Pay close attention to the opportunities that appear unexpectedly over the coming weeks. Sometimes one conversation, one message, one unexpected phone call, or one chance meeting becomes the turning point that redirects an entire future. Do not dismiss small opportunities simply because they arrive in ordinary ways. Life-changing moments rarely announce themselves with dramatic signs. They often appear quietly, disguised as everyday events that only reveal their importance much later. You may soon receive information that answers questions you have been carrying for a long time. It could arrive through someone you least expect, through a message you almost ignored, or during a conversation that initially seems completely ordinary. When that moment comes, stay attentive instead of reacting too quickly. Listen carefully, think clearly, and allow yourself the time to recognize the value hidden inside what first appears to be an ordinary encounter. There will also come a decision that challenges your comfort zone. Logic may encourage you to stay where everything feels familiar, yet your heart may quietly point toward a different direction that requires courage instead of certainty. Moments like these define the course of a person's future. Growth has always required stepping beyond what feels safe, trusting the lessons learned through previous struggles, while embracing possibilities that once seemed far beyond reach. Every important choice carries uncertainty, but uncertainty should never automatically be mistaken for failure. Some of the greatest opportunities begin with fear because they invite us to become someone stronger than we were yesterday. As you continue listening, remember this above everything else. Your story has not reached its conclusion. The difficult chapters were never written to be the ending, but to prepare you for everything that still lies ahead. As new opportunities begin appearing, you must also understand that every season of progress comes with moments designed to test your focus. Growth is exciting, but it also requires wisdom, because not every opportunity that appears in front of you deserves a place in your future. One of the first challenges you may face is something unexpectedly returning from your past. It could be a person you thought was gone forever, a situation you believed had already ended, or an old habit that quietly tries to find its way back into your daily life. At first, it may seem harmless. The conversation may sound sincere, the apology may appear genuine, or the opportunity may look attractive enough to make you question whether closing that chapter was really the right decision. But remember why that chapter ended in the first place. Time has a way of softening painful memories, causing us to forget the lessons we worked so hard to learn. Yet wisdom reminds us that moving forward sometimes requires leaving certain things exactly where they belong. Forgiveness is powerful, but forgiveness does not always require returning to the same situation. You can wish someone well, appreciate what you learned, and still choose to protect the peace you fought so hard to regain. Another challenge may arrive in a completely different form. An unexpected expense, a financial setback, or a sudden obligation could appear without warning, making it feel as though everything you have been working toward is beginning to fall apart once again. In moments like that, panic often becomes the greatest enemy. Fear pushes people into rushed decisions, convincing them that acting quickly is always better than thinking wisely. When in reality, patience often protects us from mistakes that create even greater problems. Take a breath before making important financial choices. Give yourself the opportunity to evaluate the situation carefully instead of allowing temporary pressure to determine decisions that could affect your future for years to come. Not every emergency requires an immediate reaction. Sometimes the strongest response is remaining calm, gathering the facts, and refusing to let fear become louder than reason. There is also another kind of challenge that many people never recognize because it happens quietly inside their own minds. It begins with a simple thought that sounds reasonable at first, yet slowly grows into a belief that limits everything they attempt afterward. You may hear an inner voice saying, "Things never work out for me," or "This opportunity is probably too good to be true." It may remind you of every disappointment you have ever experienced, while ignoring every obstacle you have already overcome. Thoughts like these often feel convincing because they are built upon real memories. They replay past failures so often that they create the illusion your future must always look exactly like your past. But your past is not a prediction of your future. Every new chapter begins the moment you decide that yesterday's disappointments no longer have permission to define tomorrow's possibilities. Whenever doubt begins speaking louder than hope, challenge it with what you already know. You have survived seasons you once believed would destroy you, solved problems that once seemed impossible, and continued moving forward, even when the path ahead was completely unclear. Those victories matter because they prove you are far stronger than fear wants you to believe. Confidence is not pretending life will never become difficult again. It is remembering that difficulty has never been able to stop you permanently. If you remain steady during these moments of testing, the opportunities ahead become even more meaningful. Every wise decision you make today becomes another foundation upon which tomorrow's success can safely stand. Now it is time to become intentional about what happens next. Progress rarely happens by accident, and the people who experience lasting transformation are usually the ones who develop consistent habits that support the future they are trying to build. Start by speaking words that strengthen your mindset instead of weakening it. The way you speak about your life influences the way you think, and the way you think eventually shapes the decisions you make every single day. Remind yourself regularly that you are capable of overcoming obstacles. Tell yourself that your future is still being written, that your efforts have purpose, and that every lesson learned through hardship has prepared you for opportunities that are still ahead. Then find someone you trust and share the hope you are beginning to feel. Conversations centered around possibility create momentum. While conversations filled only with fear often reinforce the very doubts you are trying to leave behind. You do not need to convince everyone around you. One honest conversation with someone who encourages your growth can strengthen your confidence more than dozens of conversations focused only on problems. It is also helpful to write down the important goals and timelines you want to remember. Seeing them every day keeps your attention focused on progress instead of distraction. Reminding you that meaningful change usually happens through consistent action rather than sudden miracles. At the same time, be willing to remove anything that continually drains your energy. Whether it is an unhealthy habit, endless negative content, destructive conversations, or environments that constantly leave you discouraged, protecting your peace is part of protecting your future. Growth requires making room for better things. You cannot expect fresh opportunities to flourish while holding tightly to patterns that repeatedly pull you backward. As your life begins changing, remember that encouragement is meant to be shared. When you discover something that genuinely inspires hope, pass it along to someone else who may also need that reminder. Helping others often strengthens your own faith in the process. The encouragement you give away frequently returns in unexpected ways. Creating relationships built upon mutual support instead of constant discouragement. Never underestimate how one message, one conversation, or one act of kindness can completely change another person's day. Sometimes the words you almost keep to yourself become exactly what someone else needed to hear. Most importantly, remain patient with yourself throughout this entire journey. Transformation rarely happens overnight, but every wise decision, every act of courage, and every step forward quietly moves you closer to the future you have been working toward. The next part of your story is not about simply surviving difficult seasons anymore. It is about learning how to recognize new opportunities, embrace lasting change, and step confidently into a future that reflects everything you have learned along the way. As your journey continues, you will begin noticing that change is no longer something you are waiting for. It is something unfolding right in front of you. The progress may not always arrive in dramatic ways, but little by little, the things that once seemed impossible will begin moving into place with a quiet confidence that is impossible to ignore. There may be moments when unexpected opportunities begin opening in areas where you had almost given up hope. A conversation that seemed ordinary could suddenly lead to an entirely new direction. A forgotten connection might return with valuable news, or a chance encounter could introduce you to someone who helps shape the next chapter of your life. Stay alert during these moments because life often disguises its greatest opportunities as ordinary experiences. So, what appears to be a simple conversation today may become the reason your future looks completely different a few months from now. Financially, you may also notice changes beginning to take shape in ways you never anticipated. Perhaps a delayed payment finally arrives, an overlooked opportunity becomes profitable, or someone unexpectedly recognizes your work and rewards it in a way you never imagined. When those blessings arrive, receive them with gratitude rather than fear. Many people struggle not because opportunities never come, but because they spend so much time expecting disappointment that they fail to recognize success when it finally appears. Your physical and emotional well-being also deserves attention during this season. If you have carried stress for months or even years, remember that healing often begins quietly. Restoring your strength one day at a time instead of all at once. Give yourself permission to rest without feeling guilty. Recovery is not weakness, and taking care of your mind and body allows you to fully embrace the opportunities that are beginning to unfold around you. Relationships will also begin revealing their true purpose. Some connections will naturally grow stronger because they encourage your growth, while others may slowly fade because they no longer belong in the future you are creating. This process can feel uncomfortable at first, especially when you have known certain people for a long time. But not every relationship is meant to last forever, and sometimes letting go becomes one of the healthiest decisions you can make. At the same time, new people may enter your life carrying fresh perspectives, valuable wisdom, and opportunities you could never have discovered alone. Remain open to these relationships because meaningful connections often arrive when you least expect them. As your confidence grows, your abilities will also become more visible to others. Skills that once went unnoticed may finally receive recognition, and the work you have quietly invested in for years could begin producing results that surprise even you. Do not minimize your talents simply because they come naturally to you. The abilities you take for granted may be exactly what someone else has been searching for, and using them wisely could open doors that once seemed permanently closed. There will also be moments when people begin trusting your judgment in ways they never did before. They will seek your advice, value your perspective, and recognize the wisdom you developed through experiences that once felt like nothing more than painful struggles. This is why every challenge you faced mattered. The difficult seasons were not only shaping your character, they were preparing you to help others navigate challenges you already learned how to overcome. Continue developing your gifts instead of assuming you have already reached your potential. Growth never truly stops, and every new lesson you learn increases your ability to make a positive difference wherever life takes you next. As your influence expands, remain humble enough to remember where your journey began. Never forget the seasons when you felt uncertain, because those memories will help you remain compassionate toward people who are still walking through similar struggles today. One of the greatest signs of real success is not simply achieving your own goals, but becoming someone who helps others believe that their goals are also possible. Encouragement given at the right moment can change another person's entire outlook on life. Keep protecting your peace as new responsibilities arrive. Success often brings additional demands, but learning when to say no is just as important as recognizing when to say yes. Do not allow unnecessary distractions to steal the focus you worked so hard to build. Every meaningful achievement requires consistent attention, and protecting your priorities will help ensure that temporary interruptions never become permanent setbacks. There will still be difficult days because every meaningful journey includes obstacles. The difference now is that you are no longer facing those moments as the person you used to be. You have grown stronger, wiser, and far more prepared than before. Whenever uncertainty returns, remind yourself how many challenges you have already overcome. The evidence of your resilience is found throughout your own story, proving again and again that difficult circumstances have never been able to define your future permanently. Continue believing in steady progress, even when results appear slower than expected. Real transformation is often measured over months and years rather than days, and the strongest foundations are always built patiently. As you move forward, never underestimate the value of consistent effort. Small actions repeated faithfully over time create extraordinary results that dramatic but short-lived efforts rarely achieve. Your future is being shaped not only by the opportunities that arrive, but also by the decisions you make every single day. Every choice to remain disciplined, hopeful, and focused brings you one step closer to the life you have been preparing for. The story is not ending here. In many ways, everything that has happened so far has simply been preparing you for the final and most important message that comes next. A reminder that lasting transformation begins when belief is followed by action. Action is supported by unwavering perseverance. Now comes the most important part of everything you have heard, because knowledge alone changes very little unless it is followed by action. Every encouraging message eventually reaches a point where you must decide whether you will simply listen to it or allow it to shape the way you move forward from this moment. Take a moment to think about the one area of your life where you need change the most. Perhaps it is your health, your finances, your family, your career, or simply the peace that has felt missing for far too long. Because real transformation always begins when you become honest about what truly matters. Do not be afraid to acknowledge your hopes. Admitting that you desire something better is not weakness. It is the first step toward creating a future that reflects the life you have been working so hard to build. Whatever challenge stands before you today, remember that every great story includes moments of uncertainty before victory becomes visible. The people we admire most were not those who never struggled. They were those who refused to let struggle become the final chapter of their lives. Before moving forward, make a personal commitment to yourself. Decide that you will no longer allow fear, disappointment, or past failures to determine what you believe is possible for your future. Your next season deserves a different mindset than the one that carried you through your hardest days. Those difficult experiences taught valuable lessons, but they were never meant to become permanent places where your confidence remained trapped. There will always be voices encouraging you to settle for less than you are capable of achieving. Some will come from outside through criticism and doubt, while others may come quietly from within, repeating old fears that have already kept you waiting long enough. Whenever those voices appear, choose to remember everything you have already overcome. Every obstacle you survived is proof that you possess more resilience than you often give yourself credit for. And every difficult season has added wisdom that cannot be taken away. Do not measure your future by your present circumstances alone. Situations change, opportunities appear unexpectedly, and lives can be transformed far more quickly than most people imagine once preparation meets the right opportunity. Keep your attention focused on the habits that strengthen your future. Continue learning, Tight. Continue improving your skills, continue protecting your peace, and continue surrounding yourself with people who encourage growth instead of constantly feeding fear. Sire, your character will always carry greater value than temporary success. Achievements may open doors, but integrity determines whether those doors remain open once you step through them. As new opportunities arrive, receive them with humility and gratitude. Celebrate progress without becoming complacent. And remember that every accomplishment also carries the responsibility to keep growing into an even better version of yourself. If relationships in your life begin changing, allow those changes to happen naturally. Hold tightly to people who genuinely support your growth. Appreciate those who taught you valuable lessons, and peacefully release connections that continually pull you away from the future you are trying to build. Never underestimate the influence your example can have on someone else. People are often inspired less by perfect lives and more by watching ordinary individuals overcome extraordinary challenges with courage and persistence. Your experiences have given you a story worth sharing. The struggles you once wished had never happened may eventually become the very reason someone else finds hope during one of the darkest seasons of their own life. Keep believing in consistent progress rather than instant perfection. Lasting success is almost always built through countless small decisions repeated faithfully over time. Each one moving you another step closer to the life you have imagined. Whenever discouragement returns, pause long enough to look back at how far you have already come. The distance between the person you once were and the person you are becoming is often much greater than you realize. While you are still walking the journey, take time to appreciate every victory, no matter how small it may seem. Small victories create momentum, and momentum has the remarkable ability to carry you through seasons when motivation alone is no longer enough. Above all, continue moving forward with confidence instead of waiting for perfect conditions. No path is completely free from uncertainty, but progress belongs to those who are willing to take the next step even before they can see the entire road ahead. If this message encouraged you today, let it become more than just another video you watched. Use it as a reminder that every day presents another opportunity to make wiser choices, strengthen your character, and move closer to the future you truly desire. Share encouragement with someone who may also need hope today. Sometimes one thoughtful conversation, one kind message, or one simple act of support becomes the turning point another person has been waiting for without even realizing it. And if you want to continue growing together through messages that inspire faith, wisdom, perseverance, and personal growth, make sure you stay connected so you never miss future videos designed to encourage and challenge you along your journey. As we come to the end of this message, remember one final truth: your story is still being written. The difficult chapters were never the conclusion. Your setbacks never erased your potential, and your future remains full of possibilities that have yet to unfold. Walk into the days ahead with renewed confidence. Let your decisions reflect hope instead of fear. Let your actions reflect purpose instead of hesitation. And let every challenge remind you not of your limitations, but of the strength you have already proven you possess. The road ahead may still include obstacles, but you are no longer the same person who first began this journey. You have gained wisdom through experience, resilience through hardship, and courage through every moment you refuse to give up. Thank you for staying until the very end. If this message spoke to your heart, remember to like the video, leave a comment sharing what you are believing for, subscribe for more uplifting content, and share this message with someone who could use encouragement today. Sometimes one shared video becomes the beginning of someone else's breakthrough, and your simple act of sharing could make more difference than you ever know.